everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
Today we're taking a look at the newest expansions for Summoner Wars, the Drakesun Rebellion and Guild Dwarves. One of those very unique sounding and interesting, the other sounds very basic.
The other one sounds like it should have been a faction already.
Yeah, actually I believe Guild Dwarves were a faction in the first Summoner Wars.
They're still coming out with some rebranded ones.
Sometimes, yes.
Wow.
Anyway, we play Summoner Wars a lot. You can check out our main review to learn if we like it or not. I love it. It's in my top 10 games. Let's take a look at these expansions. Let's take a look at Drakesun Rebellion. I'm showing you the setup here on the board because it's a big deal. Because the Summoner starts with a common unit, a Wormwing, but also starts with a champion unit here on the board, Brimstorm. And this actually doesn't deplete your champions. You have 3 others. But there's some relationships here between your Summoner, Pyra Stormrider, and Brimstorm. First of all, Pyra Stormrider has a negative thing. You can't build gates on your opponent's side of the battlefield. This is very important because this is possibly the fastest army in Summoner Wars. But when he's adjacent to a friendly Brimstorm, this unit and that Brimstorm have +1 strength and cannot be forced. So when they're next to each other, they're +1 each. And you start with both on the board. Brimstorm's nothing to scoff at with 10 health here, but Brimstorm, when it moves, it can move an extra space and through cards, and it has Mount. Mount means when you move it, so Brimstorm's going to move, they move 1, 2, 3, but before they move, they're going to target a friendly unit, and then that person can go adjacent to them afterwards. So they can fly with the unit on top of them, and they aren't the only ones who can fly. All Wormwings have this lesser flight with Mount, where they can have someone ride them. And then there's another champion unit with Mount. And then you have these Rebel Dragoons who are really pathetic, frankly, otherwise. 2 health, 1 attack, but +2 strength that was placed by a Mount. So they can jump off the Dragon Dude +2, or this incredibly insane, powerful Raised Lord Slaughter, who's also +2 if they jump off a Mount. And they're +2 when attacking an adjacent champion or summoner. It's nice to have someone who can hunt down summoners. Not only that, you have an event Firestorm, which lets you pick 2 commons within a 2-space your summoner. You can force them and do damage to them. Blazing Speed, which lets you move really quickly. It says target friendly unit, resolve an extra move with that target, which means you can fly pretty much all the way across the board. And then one of my favorite events ever, Rain Fire. Anyone with flight, after they move, you do 1 damage to every card they move through or end it next to. So again, this makes your dragon so incredibly dangerous. You can even bring Brimstorm back. If you don't control Brimstorm, your summoner is +2 strength, or otherwise, you can place a friendly Brimstorm adjacent to your summoner. That's just really peaceful to bring Brimstorm around. And then a couple other units. You have these guys who can target someone after they move to do damage to them. The Ashen Raiders, which can be summoned adjacent to a friendly unit that's on your opponent's side. So fly a dragon and suddenly these guys appear. And then another one of my favorite champions in a game where every unit next to them is on fire, including your own. And at the start of each player's turn, you add 1 damage to every card with on fire. So this guy just runs up into the enemy and wreaks havoc. Then we have the Guild Dwarves, which are the faction of adding and subtracting letters. As you can see here, Olden has an I added to him, and this dwarf is named Dwarf. But anyway, this is a faction that's all about structures. There's several of these already in the game, but when he's here, he can target a friendly adjacent structure with 5 or fewer life, which you can see all these are going to have. Put it on the bottom of your draw pile. You can also draw a card from the bottom of your draw pile at the start of your build turn. So this faction can run through their deck really quickly with some cool structures. A catapult, which when you put it out does a damage to something 3 away and can continue attacking. The ballista, which is +1 strength when you first put it out and can move people. And the battering ram, which when you attack, they can target someone next to them and push them and then do 2 damage to that person. These are not the only structures. We have structures that are events. The supply cache here, which you put 2 boost on it, and it can, before a friendly unit attacks, you can spend a boost to draw a card. That unit has +1 strength. And this is kind of one of the structures that he can stick back under the deck so you can keep using it over and over again. Or Baldar's Gate, where you can summon a common adjacent. It's a gate. You can summon a common next to it and then do an extra attack with that common, or this champion unit, a big structure here, which has compound. Everything next to it also has compound, all the structures. So basically you can boost a card. When building a structure, you can spend a boost to build it adjacent to a friendly unit. So you can kind of make a little city with this. You also have a few other things in here like blueprints, where you put 2 structures from your hand into this card. They come out for 1 less, so easy to get them out on the board. And then a bunch of troops that are about, this one here can move structures. The Guild Defender, who's just a really great common to have. Because when someone moves or is forced away from you, which you can do with your own stuff, they take 2 damage. And they have 5 health. So a nice kind of tank to bring out on the board. The Dwarf, when they're next to a structure, they can attack through it, which means your enemy can't use your own gates to hide against you. And then I already mentioned we have this Grundor champion here, who when you summon him, you can take a structure or an upgrade event from your draw or discard pile, reveal it, and add it to your hand. And he can also build units diagonal to himself. So there's a lot of kind of craziness here, but it's all about the structures and defensively, but also offensively attacking with them. These are very different.
They are.
They often release 2 that kind of seem like they were almost made to fight each other. I don't know if that's true or not, if that's their goal. But one of these is a very much fortify yourself and dig in the trenches, and the other is get to the other side of the board. In fact, the Drakesun Rebellion may be the fastest faction ever in the game. The fact that they have that things that move 3 and a card that lets you move them twice with mount, which lets you drop someone else off who then can move at just crazy speed.
It is very, very fast. There's one more faction I can think of right now, the Wayfarers, who are extremely fast.
Yeah.
You're trying to like flood the other side of the board with them because your summoner gets plus attack for you having people across the edge. So these guys are up there, though, with that idea. And then the flavor win here is really fantastic. The idea that you are these characters who jump on the back of wormlings and dragons and fly over to somewhere and then leap off of there ready to do combat, including one person who literally, thematically anyway, leaps off and gets +2 with a spear.
It just feels cool.
It's a great flavor win. It's incredibly well done. I like that a lot. On the flip side of that, I find the Guild Dwarves remind me of another faction called the Forged, which I thought was very flavorful. And this one I find to be kind of a clunkier version of that faction. I find it to be less engaging. I find it to be not quite keyword soup, but sort of card type soup, because every card is like a structure and a unit, or maybe like an action and a structure. And it's so you can play it during more phases in the game, but I found that to be clunky, not captivating.
I tend to really like structures, and every time I get a structure deck, it's the one of the few times in the game where I go, what if I mix this with other... I don't do a ton of deck building, but I'm like, what if I brought in another structure and mixed these together?
Yeah.
I like this more than you did, this faction, because, again, I tend to like structures. This one I liked because, first of all, you're picking your deck up.
Yeah.
Drawing an extra card every round is a huge deal.
Burning through it.
And you can just clog up with not useless stuff either. You can drop stuff and just do damage. So you have to hold the fort. I think they have a strong weakness, the Guild Dwarves, if your opponent's summoner goes, well, we'll just stay on the other side of the board.
Yeah. But these two, especially these two, together feels like a castle assault kind of vibe, where you have one group that is fortifying and the other group trying to assault that fortification. And I think if you enjoy that idea of sort of digging in, you'll like the Guild Dwarves.
The two factions here, the games we played with them are definitely the longest games of Summoner Wars I've ever played.
Yeah.
I think. We really were like, all right, okay. These are neither one of these, particularly Guild Dwarves, but neither one is, I would say, factions a new players should play.
Right, sure. They are tricky. They have a lot of concepts you're going to have to not just wrap your head around, but then understand why you should or shouldn't engage with that new gimmick based on who's across the table from you.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how they will mesh with some of the other more, like how will the Drakesun do a rebellion do against the polar dwarves, with their structures and stuff. I find this stuff fascinating, but I will say once again they continue to pump out factions that feel different than everything else.
I looked up which ones these were for 2nd edition. This is finally 30.
Yeah, this is 29 and 30.
29 and 30. That is wild, folks, and they are still distinct. They're still doing something that, again, oftentimes is a flavor win, is interesting mechanically. That's just amazing. 30 factions now.
So what would you rate both of them?
So I'm going to come down pretty hard on the Guild Dwarves. I just didn't enjoy very much. I'm giving that one a 6. I think it's okay. It might be one of my least favorite ones. I found it to be kind of clunky and my brain didn't click with it. But again, if you like entrenching and putting up a lot of structures, I think you'll enjoy that one, especially that one character who gets to push somebody one space, and if they break the engagement, bam, you get them. That's great. But the Drakesun Rebellion, I think, is a great faction. Really, really like that. It wins for me mechanically, thematically. That one I'm giving a 9. I think it's a great set. Definitely one that I love the personalities of the characters even in this one with the Brimstorm, I think is his name. The main summoner's dragon is a named character, begins on the table. Just great. Great stuff.
I like the Guild Dwarves more than you do. I give them a 7.5. I find I like there's a couple really fun champions, and the guy who can stab through a structure. That's really cool. Yeah. Dropping stuff off diagonally. Yeah. They have one of the best common units in the game, I think. The guy who, when you leave, does 2 damage. That's
good.
Huge.
So good, yeah.
So I think it's a lot of fun. But the Drakesun Rebellion, I'm giving them a 10. I think they're one of my favorite factions in this game, ever.
Wow.
They're just so much fun. They're like glass cannon. You can't fool around. You could be like, I'll take my summoner and a dragon. We're going to go up there and wreak havoc. But you better survive.
You can really throw them in there, and you kind of should throw them in there. And that's great to see a summoner in Summoner Wars that is not meant to stay back and defend and no, jump in there. Start biting things. That's great.
Yeah, and I just love the mounts and everything. So a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing what they do next. That's the Guild Dwarves and the Drakesun Rebellion. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I want to say thank you to some of our GameFound backers. Thank you to Paul Kensler, Ashley Ben, and our yogurt gremlin who sleeps in the spare room, Daniel McKeon, and Debbie Alden. Thank you all for supporting the Dice Tower, and thank you guys all for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.